by a trans owned and operated press, Homo Factus Press. So that is particularly interesting too. So this is a performance piece, and I wanted to read a short section of that. Towards about 2/3 through, and he's doing a character named Turner. It's probably an understatement to say that I feel out of place from time to time, but I never saw it coming that I would feel so out of place in the queer community. As an adult, I was raised by lesbians, on organic lentils and feminist thought. And most days now, people look at me and see a gay man if they're looking. Coming out as transgender in the community that invented coming out, I've met with more resistance than I ever imagined possible. Seriously, straight people seem to have very little problem with me. Yes, it was the straight people who rallied hard to keep me female. I was just so pretty, But now that I'm a guy, well, that makes sense. Now, gay people rallied for me to have the right to choose who I want to be. They've been doing it for all of us long before I was born. But now, if I'm not gay or lesbian, I find I have no brother's keeper. Even though, as a straight but transgender man, I'll always be pretty queer to the people who would pass laws excluding me, or to those who would, murder me. So, so some of it is much more playful, and he does a lot of things with costumes. I haven't actually seen the performance piece, but reading through it, it was really captivating. I couldn't put it down. And again, that's Two Truths and a Lie by Scott Turner Schofield. And the next genre-breaking book that we have is called 10,000 Dresses, which is written by Marcus Ewert and and illustrated by Rex Ray. So it's a children's book, and I don't think it's the first children's book for that deals with trans issues, but this is clearly one of the most delightful ones that I have come across for GLBT children.
Well, and this one's actually targeted at a fairly young age group compared to a lot of the children's literature.
Exactly.
So it might be the first youngest.
Right. Well, they differentiate that in the trade as being children and young adult.
Right, right.
So, and they do break them down even further than that. But it's just delightfully illustrated. Here's the first page. Every night, Bailey dreamed about dresses. And he has all these marvelous dreams. And he tells his family members, and they meet with different kinds of reactions, mostly incredulity. Here, Bailey is talking with his dad. "Dad, I dreamt about a dress," Bailey said. "Uh-huh," said her father. "A dress made of lilies and roses with honeysuckle sleeves." "Uh-huh. And I was wondering if you could grow me a dress like that?" "Bailey, what are you talking about? You're a boy. Boys don't wear dresses." "But I don't feel like a boy," she said. "Well, you are one, Bailey, and that's that. Now, go away and don't mention dresses again." In any case, I won't give the spoiler, but it's really a beautiful book, and I think for a child it would offer up some really interesting examples of cross-dressing and transgender identity,
right.
The way that it's expressed at that age.
Yeah. Dad, I wish I'd had a book like that when I was a kid to show my parents.
Right, exactly.
Here,
so
look
kids,
at this.
go out and get this book for your parents. It's 10,000 Dresses, Marcus Stewart, illustrated by Rex Ray, and this was one of our favorites too. We all just loved it. It was also nominated in the Children's young adults category as well. And this is the book that won the Lammy in this category this year. It's Intersex, for lack of a better word, by Thea Hillman, and published by Manic D Press. And this was an astounding book. There were actually 2 books that submitted this year that dealt specifically with intersex topics. And for those folks who aren't familiar with the term, intersex refers to what we had previously maybe referred to as hermaphroditic people with hermaphroditic bodies whose physical sex was not distinct, and in many cases gender is assigned at birth.
Right.
And so I mean, not in many cases. It's always the case.
The only question is whether the doctors recognize at birth that they have an intersex child and they're arbitrarily assigning one,
Right.
or if they just assign one, slap them on the butt, and send them home, and then parents get to deal with the problems later.
Yeah. It seems like they always get it wrong, too.
Well,
and it's interesting.
you don't hear about the ones that they got right.
True. But I know. But it's interesting that a lot of the research in our area was because of that.
Was because of the research into intersex. Well, and it made a lot of sense because typically intersex condition is caused by chromosomal anomalies on the sex chromosomes.
Right.
That's something very concrete. People can understand. Doctors can wrap their brains around it, ask how to test for it.
Right, right. So there's a clinical model here that that runs a certain kind of script, and that has been largely dictated by medical professionals rather than intersex people themselves.
Right.
So this is written by an intersex person, and really it was fascinating. I mean, I had read some stuff, more academic about the condition and the politics that are involved with gender assignment at birth. So I was aware of some of these issues, but the way that the author put it in her own terms was just was really striking, and we were all not only captivated by its, content, but also, it's the way that it was presented and such. So it's a collection of, a very brief, thought pieces. Most of them are about a page or so. And this one, I'll just read a.
Oh, you've got
short
time.
one.
Don't.
Okay. Well, I'll read the whole thing then. It's not that long. It's a chapter called Funny. My mom pulled out a copy of The Onion today. That's the satire newspaper. There's something I've been meaning to show you, she says, holding up the paper for me to see the headline. Poverty-stricken Africans to receive desperately needed Bibles. Mom, that's fake. It's a joke, I answer, and she starts laughing hard. We're having a quick coffee before she goes for her brunch date with a man she's met online. We scan a few more pages together. My favorite headline, Captives, Captor, have different senses of humor. The thing about humor is, sometimes it's universal, and sometimes it's just the most personal thing in the world. Sometimes when I hear what makes someone laugh, I almost can't look them in the eye because I feel like I just saw through to their inner workings, and I'm not even sure they just mean to show me everything. The levers, cranks, pulleys, and switches. It's the girl falling out of her top, accidentally flashing anatomy. She might not even be ashamed, but I am for her.